Okay, one of the questions I was going to ask you about is, we hear a lot about chemical koshes, not to put a nice term on it, but how people in care homes are kept quiet and behave themselves with the use of drugs which keep them in that way. Do you have any experience of that with your parents or other patients?
I know that my father has been given antipsychotic drugs, and I know that at one point his whole personality and his whole character changed, which alarmed me. And I remember calling the GP saying that, you know, can you take him off this? He's changed, you know, he's not himself. And then later I realised that he was still being given them.
So because you didn't have this, sorry, what was this power of attorney called again, Simon?
The lasting power of attorney.
Because you didn't have this lasting power of attorney, they didn't listen to you?
Well, they have listened to me, yes, even without that. But I was really concerned about this. I don't think at the care home they're in that happens as a general rule. I'm sure it does in some places. I have no evidence that that happens at this care home. But because my father was seeing a psychiatrist, and then via the GP, I guess, was given these drugs, but he was noticeably different, agitated, aggressive, not himself, not switched on, not tuned in. I believe he doesn't have them now, and he is very calm now. Yeah, I don't know, but I was very concerned at that time.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. We've got a message here from Steve in Walsall. It says, "Well done, Angela. You've got guts. That's rare these days."
Thank you.
But I suppose once you've got on this into this battle, you can't really back out, can you?
You could. I mean, there was a moment, end of 2007, which I remember sitting at my desk at home with my head in my hands thinking, how do I do this? It was the point where we'd run out of money and everybody wanted everything and I was fighting for everything and I just didn't know how to move forward. You know, and I could have given up at that point, but how would I feel now if I'd done that? And you don't know that you can't win unless you give it a go.
OK, I'm going to read out a message here that I've had thoughts about not reading out, but I think it's fair. Malcolm of Lincoln, who wrote that question before about the NHS should spend money on the people who can be cured, has now said, your female guest talks constantly of money but little of love. How do you respond to that?
He may well be right in this interview. I may not have talked much of love, but that's been my overriding reason for doing it. You know, the money is the tool that we're dealing with here. The reason I'm doing it is because they're my parents and I love them, and this is wrong. They should not be forced to pay for nursing care that should be provided by the NHS. And as their daughter, I'm fighting for them. I'm fighting for what they built up over the years. Whether or not, you know, it's money, I'm doing it because they're my parents.
And if you didn't do it, as you've already clearly said, then no one else is going to do it. There's no champion for them, is there? OK, Paul in Warrington says, amazing that they could spend billions on bailouts and huge pensions. I wonder who he could be referring to, and not take care of the UK people. Very wrong. It does sort of beg the question. What do you think about that, Simon?
I think he's got it spot on, frankly, and it's something that we've discussed many times. You know, you've got billions that are being put into the system now. Where were those billions when we needed to put it into the health service? Well,
it's trillions now, isn't it?
Well, absolutely.
Into banking.
I know we're talking about different things. We're talking about shoring up the whole of society through the financial system, but we're also talking about the health service, which was meant to be to care for us all. And if it's going to do that, then do it. You know, they're saying it, but they're not necessarily fulfilling it. I
mean, they do. They always talk about the NHS as though it's this wonderful thing, and I'm not saying that it's not a wonderful thing, but perhaps it's not quite as wonderful as it's...
Well, the NHS needs to be lauded. I mean, the alternative is not particularly pretty, I don't think.
But if you look at America, it's very unpretty, isn't it?
And I know lots of people who work in the NHS, and they do a thoroughly good job. And it's not necessarily... it's the system that's designed around some of these things, such as the assessment of those people who are doing it. But those people who care, generally who are nurses, who are doctors, who are physios, other healthcare professionals, do a fantastic job. But there's always a problem somewhere because we make judgments and we all err because we're human. So.
And I mean, a lot of money is going into big pharma, isn't it? Into the pharmaceutical industry. Huge amounts of money.
But it does cost millions to get a drug through the system.
Are they effective, a lot of these drugs?
Well, lots of the drugs are. And we still need that to happen. The society needs to be cared for, and the drug companies are there to hopefully provide assistance going forward, but sometimes not enough.
Simon, we're going to go for another break now, a final one this evening. Once again, if you'd like to text in your questions or comments to Angela Sherman or Simon Stone, why not do so now? Just text 87778 with the word EDGE and then your message. See you very soon.